Welcome to Spark Sessions. I'm your host, Sonya Locke, and this girl is on fire. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a woman whose brilliance and light is felt in every room she's walked in. She is Keela Starr, the CEO and founder of KStarr Management and the Nova Center. And her journey is a masterclass in turning vision into value and intuition into impact. CEO, visionary, healer. Keela Starr's presence shifts energy from fashion's front row to the heart's quiet space. She leads with light, clarity, and unstoppable purpose. Keela, thank you so much for joining us today, and congratulations for all of your success, not only in business, but in life in general. And I'm so excited to talk to you today. So cheers.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So let's rewind a little bit about your fire starter moment. You started out in corporate America, big Fortune 500 company, on a career path, and then, on your way, and you just left. And you went into a modeling agency and said, hey, I'll intern for free. I mean, that's very bold. What compelled you to where your spirit was saying, this isn't it, and to make that big move?
Well, I was actually doing acting on the side while I had my corporate job. So I would go to auditions during lunch, and I was introduced to this opportunity for a movie, and they asked me, was I willing to do the role for nudity? And I just didn't want to do that. And I knew that that was something I would eventually have to do. And my soul and spirit was like, I don't want to be nude for millions of people to see on TV. So I literally love the industry, but I had to find a way to become a part of the industry. So when I decided to work for free, it was because I still love the industry. I knew I had a place in it. I just had to get my foot in the door.
So kind of stepping behind the spotlight. Absolutely. And build those.
And the fact that when I said that and it came out of my mouth, I thought I had an out-of-body experience, because I'm like, how am I going to be able to survive to work for free? But honestly, it was a God thing, because I was provided for and I was able to do it.
And you did. You ascended. I mean, your models have graced, the runways of Chanel, Prada, Dolce & Gabbana, the magazines, Vogue, Vanity Fair. I mean, you're a global scout for talent. How did you get to know what you were doing was right, where you came into your power, I guess, in that role?
I think to even get to that point, it was the fact that I could find just diamonds in the rough. Like a lot of the models that I have, even to this day, I've had since they were 10 years old or 12.
Oh, wow.
And now they're in their 20s. And I've seen some of my old models married with babies now. So I think to answer your question, I just had this gift to be able to find unique individuals that were able to do amazing things.
Wow. And you broke out on your own.
Yes. At the time, I was working for the oldest talent agency in the Southeast, and I was a contractor. So I was able to do both, because it was slow. I had just recently moved back from New York. I worked at a fashion agency in New York, moved back home. And the reality is that it was getting too busy to do both. So I definitely took a leap of faith, and I was able to leave and survive and strive and ascend with the models I had with KStarr Management.
And let's talk about your vision. Like you said, you realized, hey, I don't want to do nudity. That's not me. Right. What did you find that was, I guess, absent in the industry, and finding these young talents? And, what was it that you stood for with KStarr Management? What was different?
Well, I always wanted to take care of my models. I mean, honestly, we know the industry, there can be some really dark sides of the industry. I wanted to be the light in the industry. I wanted my models to feel safe and feel like that they were in a safe place and they had a mama that was looking out for them, and knowing that when they went on a set that they wouldn't be asked to do things that were outside of their moral compass.
Right.
So yeah, I think I just wanted to be that leader that they needed, and felt safe with.
So as a mentor to
Absolutely.
helping them navigate this very, very competitive and, as you say, kind of dark industry.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Yes, at
right?
times, yes.
So tell me a little bit about your philosophy with your mentorship. I mean, you don't just do placements. This is very personal to you.
Correct. It's very important for me for them to be able to come to me, talk to me, and be open and honest. So yeah, the mentorship is important. It's like, yes, they have their parents. I've had models with amazing, parental support. However, I want it to be like that godmother that says, you know what, whatever you need, I got you. I'm here for you. Whatever, it's a very hard industry when you're in a stage of your life where you're still developing with your hormones. Because at the time when some of the girls were doing really well, they were just 15 to 16. So as you know, most girls are on the soccer field. They're worried about their exams in high school, and they're worried about their little high school boyfriends or girlfriends at that time. And for these girls, they were with people that were 25, 30 years old, working all over the world. So it was a very fast-paced journey for them.
Yeah, and that's such a pivotal point in their life. I mean, especially when you say you get a lot of talent that starts with you when they're 10, so you're seeing them through all of that journey.
Yes, the whole transitions of, middle school, high school, college. A lot of the girls that I've had are now literally about to get their doctorate. They've gone to 3 of them have gone to Ivy League schools, so they're pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty
Wow.
amazing. Very proud.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your mentorship, your some of the parts that you've instilled in them that has helped them succeed so much with it. And
a lot of them, the mentorship is basically at the point also of telling them you can do anything in this world. I was not just forcing the modeling. I'm like, this is what you're doing now, but what are you going to do in the future?
right.
It's not just about, okay, let's just make money, even though a lot of models were able to buy homes when they were under 21 years old, or do investments, or start businesses. So the mentorship was basically just instilling and helping develop them into the women, and mainly women. I have a few guys, but mainly the women that they are today.
I mean, I can't imagine how many lives that you've touched over your career and your journey and stuff. Let's talk about the other side of you, because I'm really fascinated with this, the healer and the Reiki master. Tell me about how you got into that and how that blends with your personal life.
Well, I've always felt like I had this gift of healing. It was just something that it was just a innate knowing to a certain extent. And I would always, and this is the part of the story that's interesting too. In my early part of KStarr management, there were a lot of girls that we found out may have had certain issues. Like, for instance, it could be eating disorders, self-harm, and things like that. And I was getting to the point where I'm like, why am I meeting these young ladies that are having these difficulties in life? And it's funny because they said when you're a healer, you will attract people that need healing. And it took years for me to figure out that's basically what was going on at the time. And then on my own personal journey, I decided to go to a therapist, which she called herself a healer.
So I'm sure a lot of people do not understand Reiki, especially in the South where we are from.
The South is a tough one, correct?
Tell me a little bit about it and what it is, how it's healing, the journey that you have gone through to become a master.
Well, energy basically is matter. It's a thing, right? And when you're moving energy, you're moving some things that are blocking you from manifesting in different parts of your life. So people have heard of the word chakras, and some people think chakras are bad or whatever, or negative, but it's not. Chakras are energy points throughout your body, and they go through along your body, and basically they affect everything within you, either that's spiritually, emotionally, physically. If they are blocked, you may have an issue in one of those areas, or in all areas if you need it. So for instance, when I was going to the healer, she was unlocking some things that I had suppressed with father issues that I didn't know I had. You kind of have an idea, but you don't know you have them, you know? And when I started the journey, my first day going, I mean, she asked me one question and it unlocked the floodgates. And from that, I went for 3 years to her pretty intensely every week, 2 hours a week. And I went and it changed my life. And then I went to another person that was a life coach, and that's the person that introduced me to Reiki.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a journey. It's been a ride. It's been a ride.
But it permeates with every part of your life. Not only have you started Nova Center, as well as in your business career, but how are you able to bring that to, your professional job as a talent scout?
Well, in the most recent couple of years, actually probably about 3 or 4 years, actually, because time is like zooming. I've been fortunate enough to be able to give some of my models actual Reiki sessions to help them on their journey and unblock some things too. Because we all have stuff. Everybody got something, nobody's just coming out with, walking around with butterflies flying around. We all have stuff that we need to clear out and unblock. So that's how I've been able to incorporate that.
Right. And I think that that's where you do live a purposeful life as not only in your healing journey, but in your business journey as well, being able to blend those and, like you said, attracting those talents that need healing and need that guidance at the most important pivotal parts of their career and life.
Even 90% of my clients for energy healing are all female.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. I really want to learn more about it. I might need to go for a second.
Come on.
So we've talked about your extraordinary success, both in as a talent scout as well as a healer, but success doesn't always come easy. It's not smooth and graceful. There's lots of fires that we've gone through and challenges. What are some of those fires that you have gone through in your life and those challenges? And how did those build you into who you are today? And let's talk about some of those and how you overcame them.
Well, we do live in a world of people wanting microwave success. So some of the fires in the past have been, some of the broken relationships from models who decided the grass may have been greener on another side. Or, sometimes the parents get involved, and they get into their kids' heads. And they think they deserve better. So you lose some of these relationships. And like you said earlier, these are relationships to me. This is not just about work. So those are some of the really harsh things that can happen in our industry too. But at the same time, you have people who try to steal your models. It's a very competitive business. You know what I mean? So you have that. And then one of the biggest things that just recently happened was COVID. Right. So obviously in our business, that shut everything completely down, which was a lot for us entrepreneurs in this type of industry. Obviously, we had some type of support, but at the same time, it was a huge blow. So it has to make you kind of rethink, and revamp your businesses to another level, which was actually a perfect time for me to develop more of the Nova Center and get things going, because I was still able to do sessions during that time safely, but I did sessions during that time. So it actually was a break for me at COVID. Like in the beginning, it was like, oh, wow, I have some time off, but you're not thinking about what's happening on the backside of the models not working. And a lot of those models I lost during that time because they decided I need to go to university. Mm-hmm. So it was a huge blow to my business and the business in general. And it literally took us about 2 years, if not just now, getting back into the swing of things like before. But like I said, the breakthrough on the other side of that was to be able to have the time to develop the Nova Center and make products, because I make all natural products. So that got me involved in being able to have the time to make products, which is body scrubs and aura sprays and things like that, all made out of like natural products for a person. So it actually developed into something else. It was like a gateway to my holistic, healing side of products.
And that's fascinating because, I mean, you think about like COVID, I mean, that just shut you down. And
Completely.
you are one where it's like, if you're not working, right, or your models are not working, that's your entire livelihood.
There's no commission.
Right, exactly. That is like,
No commission.
you're a CEO, like you have other people that's also responsible for you.
Absolutely.
How was it, like, where was that, when that challenge hit, because it was overnight, I assume, for you. It wasn't like a gradual thing.
Correct.
How did you come up with the inspiration or I guess that gut instinct of, hey, this is what I need to do, and that pivot? Like, when did that come about?
I think it came about, I think I was being prepped prior to COVID, because a really good friend of mine, she's one of my best friends, she and I put on an event for models like a year before COVID. And we invited all of these agents to this event, and we were like, well, we need to have a swag bag for them. And it just popped in my head, which I know was God telling me, you need to make some body scrubs and put in there and make some products. Because we didn't want to just give them the regular stuff you get on a swag bag that's like a bunch of papers and flyers a lot of times and boring things. So I made some homemade scrubs at her house in Nashville. And it was insane. Like, I was totally into it. It was like I was put here on this earth that moment to make these scrubs. I have video to this day with making the scrubs. And that was right before COVID. So when COVID happened, I turned into Miss Domestic. I was Martha Stewart. I was cooking, I was baking, I was making product, I was doing everything I can to keep me from going crazy.
Right.
So then once, I started doing what I was like, I'm supposed to be really doing something with these products. So it just opened the door for me to do it. It was perfect.
So you kind of just had to listen.
Yes.
And be silent and listen to what it was taking you.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Yeah. Tell me about some of your scrubs. What are they?
So I have a scrub. It started out called Keela scrub. Get it like Reiki and Keela. Keela.
I like that.
So those were the original names of the body scrub. So it went from sea salts to obviously natural oils like olive oils, and it's something very simple and essential oils, things that are good for the skin. And now I make sugar scrubs, and I actually sell them now. Like, I have an Etsy, I do the whole thing, as well as I do pop-ups at a metaphysical store not far from here. So I mean, it's really developed.
That's a great kind of part of your journey, is you've kind of had your life to where it's been guided by a spirit and an intuition from you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've always been led by the spirit. And then not only that, it's like, it just follows. I always say I follow the breadcrumbs. I'm following the breadcrumbs. That's what I call it. Just following the path,
Yes, and you followed it very well.
Thank you. Yes. I try.
So you said this journey forced you to confront yourself. What did you see in that reflection?
Well, I think it also depends on the season. Like, every season, we're not the same. Like, I'm definitely not the same person I was 5 years ago. So during these seasons, I've had the reflection of needing more self-awareness, but at the same time, not making it about me, not taking things so personal, stand my ground, use my voice, so many different things. I mean, you have these moments where you feel like you're being too much, and then you're also being reminded by people who you think are friends, telling you you're too much. So like, it's so many different juggles. You're juggling so many different things, emotions. I've seen so much. So it's just pretty much trying to get to know the authentic Keela and being her and walking in that purpose and not paying attention to all the noise.
Actually, that is the same thing I heard the other day when I was, like I said, at the Time Summit. And it was actually from Megan, Duchess of York, where she was talking about how she over this last year, it was her self-discovery of kind of like tuning out that noise.
Absolutely.
And feeling that power of herself and what her true purpose was, right? And I think that's a lot of it as well, is we do get a lot of noise, but you have to be who you are and own it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not to bend.
Right.
I mean, you have to be flexible, but you have to be flexible to the things that are good for you and not for what everybody else wants, because everybody has an opinion. Yes. You know what I mean? There's so many opinions now, it's so much. So that's one of the main things. I had to just stand in my truth and walk in it.
And so what advice can you give someone to learn how to walk in their truth?
Cover up those ears. Cover up the ears and try to limit social media, because sometimes that's also can hinder us in our thoughts. It's too impressionable at times. Yeah.
No, that's also very important. I'm sure you see that a lot with working with young talent, especially in front of the camera. I mean, like, they are really exposed.
Absolutely. When I first started in the business, there wasn't any social media really. So we've seen a lot of change with that.
Well, first of all, I don't think that anybody could ever say that you are too much. You are perfect. And I can feel your passion and everything like that, which brings us to a signature Spark Sessions moment. Okay. And I ask all of my guests this, and I think it's a very profound question, but when did you realize your passion met your purpose?
I was riding in a car where I was driving my car, and I was on Piedmont Road. And I got a call from my model's agent in New York, my first one to break out, and she booked the Prada runway show, which was like, not only did she book the show, she ended up booking the campaign. Oh, wow. So booking a Prada campaign, especially back then, was like winning an Oscar. And it was her first season. She was 16 years old. This was her breakout year. That's when I knew, okay, I know what I'm doing. And then going to the malls all over the world and seeing her on the wall in the campaign also was amazing. So that was the beginning of that. And then my second breakout star, her first season, she did Ferragamo campaign, as well as like 2 others. So I knew what I was doing at that point, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm supposed to do this. This is my purpose. This is happening. Yeah. It was a happening moment. With the Nova Center, I've seen my clients, because all of it is not just laying on the table. It's not just Reiki. It's also soul coaching. So soul coaching is what they like to call shadow work. So when you're working with clients and you're seeing them develop, and we get in our first session and we're discussing their goals and what we need to work on. And when you start seeing those goals manifesting, that's when I was like, okay, I see God is really using me, and I am really walking in the purposes that I'm meant for. So those are major.
Yeah, they're major. And I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, is that you attract those that need healing. Mm-hmm. So it's like you have a dual purpose. You have brought both the healer and the spirituality to an industry that needs it, to discovering those talents, like having that intuition to where you are finding those young talents and you are nurturing them and you are mentoring them. I mean, I think that is your purpose. That is why you attract these superstars that come out as well. Yes. And it's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely a gift. And I can't go on any vacations even to this day without scouting. I'm always looking.
You're looking, or are they looking for you?
Oh, touche. That's a good one. It could be both. Yeah. They may just be put out there waiting for me to find them. Correct.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm very much believing that, paths cross for a reason. And I'm always thankful to anybody that I meet in my life, their soul, and how they can touch your life and change your life. So I think with your healing energy and your balance and your passion, that is definitely your purpose.
Thank you. I think so too.
I love your journey blends a very high pressure industry and a very soft healing inner balance together. And this is where it gets kind of to our burning question, because one of the things I think about a lot is, what if, true leadership and power is not about the push, but it's about the pause, right?
Absolutely.
And building success in high pressure situations, but also creating a space for that stillness and that joy and that balance. And if that's the real power, that intuition and balance and silence is actually the strength, not the weakness, right?
Right.
So here's my question: can listening to our inner voice and protecting our joy be the most powerful leadership move we can make, and how?
100% correct. Yes. Because you have to understand, once again, we're talking about the noise. Right. You got to be able to balance the noise. You have to be able to neutralize the noise, and to be able to think clearly and be grounded enough to make the executive decisions, to be able to release those things that no longer serves us. When I first started in my career, I was trying to hold on to everybody too tightly. And some things are not meant forever. I was taught, everybody's taught, people are in your life for a season, reason, or a lifetime, right? And that's literally something that I had to walk in and learn from. Everybody's not supposed to be there forever. You serve your purpose, you move on. Some people are there for the long run. And that's one of the things I had to learn. And that was only learned by being quiet, grounded, being able to listen to that inner voice, listen to that stillness of spirit, telling you what you need to do. When we're crazy and chaotic, we can't hear anything. Right. We just hear all the voices in our heads, the noise and everything else. So that's the most important part to me, to be able to hear, to listen, and to be still. Sometimes you're not supposed to take action. Sometimes you're supposed to just sit there and wait. And I think that's a lot of times what we run into now. Nobody wants to wait. The impatience is on all-time highs. So to be able to be still in that moment, to ground, to hear, to listen, and be at peace, that's the most important thing any leader should have, or any person in general.
And I think that, like you said, that we are in, what did you term it? It was microwave
society. Yes. They want it instantaneously, right now.
Everything instant. From not only how we are consumers, where everything's on demand, to social media.
Absolutely.
It's at your face all the time, and very fast bites, right? How have you learned to listen to that stillness? You have drawn from your intuition, your gut, your stillness to listen. Yes. How have you learned to do that in your life, and what are some of the secrets to it?
Well, every morning I have to give myself, I call it meditation, pretty much, which could be prayer, which could be Reiki on myself, which is why I started the Reiki journey, to do it on myself. And to be able to do my affirmations and just be calm. I have to set the day with that calmness, because I know time I leave the door and walk out the door, that's when all the noise in the world is out there. So I had to be able to be bulletproof spiritually, to be able to maneuver through everything. Because there's a lot of calls, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of models depend on me, or asking questions. It's just a lot of movement, including clients for the Nova Center. So it's like, kind of got to put your blinders on it.
So do you think there's room to redefine what strength looks like in leadership? And especially like in women coming into leadership or coming onto their own, how do you pass that knowledge of that?
Definitely by self-care. I feel like self-care is what will introduce everyone to more inner peace. I think when you look at society right now, everybody is full of anger, anxiety, a lot of rage, and when you're empathic, If you're an empath, you feel it all, right? So that's why I said another reason I leave the house, I feel it because I can feel it all around me when you leave, and you can feel in the cars the way people drive and everything else. So if you have a self-care regimen, which means you're taking salt baths, you are walking barefoot on the grass, you're walking barefoot in the beach or the ocean, wherever you live and whatever is accessible to you. You're near a mountain, touch a tree, hug a tree. There's so many different things. Do meditation, listen to 432 hertz music. You know, there's different things that people can do to balance that out. And you have to find something to bring you that joy. If some people say, well, I just read the Bible, read your Bible, do whatever you got to do. If you're not a Christian, you can meditate. There's always something to do. Everything I named pretty much, you do not have to have any religion associated with it. So my point is there's so many different things you can do. And I feel like we need to do more as a world. Yes. To be able to walk in peace, like the little kids in other countries that have literally meditation. They teach them meditation in their quiet time, and they don't have that erratic behaviors like a lot of kids do these days because they take that time to center themselves. And I think that's what we need. I think we all need a lot of centering.
I really agree with you. I actually was writing an article and it was titled The Power of Pause.
Exactly.
You know, because it is so important to refuel, to recharge, and to just have those moments. And it's like, there's so many different ways, like you said, that you can create that and you know, and find that space. But we are bombarded all the time.
Yes, right? Overstimulation.
Yes.
On 1,000 actually.
Yes, I mean, actually even talking like with generations, like when you think of Gen Z and Gen Alpha, like their whole world is just, every problem in the world is in their face at every moment of the day.
Absolutely.
So trying to learn how to.
And reel it in. Yeah.
Yes, no, I think that that's some of the most important, I guess, lessons that you can teach. Yes. And I assume you teach that to your models, or how do you do that?
I don't teach it as much to the models. I do give them the information, but it's definitely the teachings for, you know, my soul coaching sessions at the Nova Center. Right. Yeah, that's their homework most of the time. So these things, just to keep themselves balanced and for them to not be so dependent on me, but for them to be able to take care of themselves once they leave my office.
And what does balance mean to you? Tell me what the practice of being balanced is.
You mean personally, what's my balance, or you mean in general?
I guess let's say in general, something that will help others to understand what is balance and how do we apply that?
Being able to identify joy.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You know, I feel like when you're balanced, you don't see just the dark side. You can see the light as well. You're not seeing a one-sided negative reality. There's joy in everything. Even in the midst of some really dark times, you got to find something to keep you up. There's something positive somewhere. Even if you got to dig deep in your soul, there is something positive you can focus on to get you out of that rut. Yeah.
There's another phrase I heard that I also love that kind of goes into that. Not as much as like finding, I mean, I definitely believe in the joy of finding the little small things that happen.
Have to.
There's so much joy around, right? And you have to concentrate on those.
And be grateful, yeah.
But this other phrase was, everything in life happens for me, not to me.
I love that, yes.
You know, because that's the power of it is if you're just focusing on what's happening to you,
yes,
you're not seeing the joy.
Exactly.
And what you're learning from it.
And being
right?
thankful.
Yes.
Even when we're in our lowest places, we are still sometimes doing better than a lot of people. And we always have to remind ourselves of that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So now let's talk to a part that we like to call the inner fire, okay?
Okay.
So every space we step into is an opportunity to stand in our truth, right?
Yes.
And it's not just about being seen, it's about being heard and about being understood and respected. So in an industry where surface is valued sometimes over substance, how do you manage to really truly be seen and heard in an authentic way? And what does it mean to create your own spotlight behind the scenes, when a presence without necessarily permission?
It's interesting because I grew up always wanting to be on every play in elementary school. Every play. It always was like the one that would get the little lead roles. I was fearless. And then you grow up, and then some of that fear starts creeping in, and you start shrinking back. And you go through these levels in life where something happens to you, where you're like, feeling like, let me cover up again, let me hide. You have those people who are jealous of you, and then they make you feel like you're not who you're walking in. So you cover up. So we have these stages, and I've had these stages, like being on here. I'm exposed, I'm telling my business, as I would say. But the reality is that you got to do it through fear, or I like to say you got to do it scared.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, you have to do it scared. Some people thrive on being seen, and then those that are supposed to be seen are the ones trying to hide a lot of times. So I think you have to do it fearlessly and walk fearlessly. And no matter the repercussions, if you know what you know is right and what you're doing is right, you have to speak your truth and speak, even in the midst of fear or nervousness or whatever the fragility is. You have to walk in that.
I think walking in it and owning it, that's always like a common theme. And
yeah, for sure.
It takes us a while to get to there,
It does, yeah.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
There's like a magic bullet that when we started,
Yeah. Yeah,
18,
or a
we know that.
smoothie you could drink, and then it's like you're on, right? Yeah, absolutely.
But I like that part of what you're talking about of like the hiding, which is kind of a natural. And so, how do you take ownership of who you are and that inner fire and realize, show it to the world and be authentic?
Yeah, like for instance, you make a post, you make a video, and you're like sitting here like critiquing yourself, or, I'm talking about social media, right? And you're like, oh, I need to talk on social media. And you're like, you really don't do it. You like being behind the scenes. Obviously, that's what I like to do. I'm the manager. I'm not the one in front of the stage. But the reality is, even when you're looking at that video, you got to push that button and send it.
Right.
You just got to force yourself to do it. You have to almost create an alter ego to become that person on your own vision board that you want to be.
I like that.
Yeah. You have to create that persona, and you have to walk in it, and you have to hold yourself accountable to do it.
And I like also what you said about walking in fear, right? Because fear is where we're going out of our comfort zone.
Absolutely.
And we don't grow if we're not going out of our comfort zone, right?
And you know what they say, if you don't grow, you die.
Yes. And no, you definitely do. So what are some of those fear moments where you have stepped out in your industry, and those power moments where you had the biggest fear, but you've overcome it and you stepped into your own authenticity and power?
Well, everyone that you send a model to in an agency in Paris or Milan or New York, they're not always that friendly. So you got to be able to ignore the shell that you see and still push. And sometimes we get a lot of no's. So no matter how wonderful a model can be in our eyes, when we're sending it to the agencies, sometimes it's a lot of no's. So it's a lot of rejection. And depending on how you handle rejection is going to allow you to move forward or not. So for instance, when I started my healing journey, that was one of my main issues, was rejection. So for me, I am faced with that every day through someone else when I'm trying to get models placed.
Right.
So I'm having to push through those walls and those barriers, not only for me, but for obviously another individual as well. So I'm faced with it every day and having to keep going. Yeah.
So have you ever felt underestimated?
All the time. All the time. all the time, from, like I mentioned before, models, moms and dads thinking that they could do better with management, or models themselves reach a certain age and say, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. Or even people in the industry, certain people, they may be like, oh yeah, it's other people that's better. Of course, they're going to say that. Some people enjoy to pump themselves up to make somebody else look bad anyway. So yeah, absolutely been underestimated. I probably could write a book about it. Yes.
And how have you responded to that? And that actually kind of also brings another one that always seems to be a topic, and I think as women
Yes.
do this a lot, is the imposter syndrome, right? And that kind of goes into what you were saying about going above your fear. And yeah, we can critique ourselves all day long, right? We're the worst critics. But how do you respond to feeling underestimated, or how do you respond to getting out of that imposter syndrome?
Well, the imposter syndrome is one of those things where I think you never get over. You have it creeps up every blue moon. However, to show people wrong, you just keep doing it and prove them wrong. You just got to keep moving and pushing and prove them wrong every time. That's how I get through it. Yeah.
Proof is in the pudding, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I had never even been to Europe before, and I went alone. So like, I've had to face a lot of fears, even small things, for years. And you just do it. Like I said earlier, do it scared. Do it scared.
So how do you hold space for authenticity in an industry that thrives on image?
I look at it, number one, as a job. Like, it's surface, okay? Obviously. But when you're talking about authenticity, it's about being honest. So that's basically what I have to do, be as honest as possible, just be as real as possible, and just do the job. And I think that's one of the things I also have to tell a lot of the kids these days. This is a job. This is an everyday job. This is not fun. This is not extracurricular. This is a career you're trying to build. And I've told them that from the beginning, because I think, like we said before, when they're at a certain age, they don't know how to be able to compare anything, because this is their first job.
Right.
So in other words, you have other kids working at these fast food restaurants or ice cream shops, and they're making thousands of dollars for their first job, or, and that's a lot of money for somebody that age. So I've just been very real with them and let them know that this is a blessing, that you're able to do this, accept this blessing, take it, and look at it as a career and build from there.
Yeah, that is so much like, how do you teach authenticity to these young, like said, potential stars?
Yes.
But they're at this pivotal moment. What are some of the lessons you teach them in terms of authenticity?
Like I just said, this is a job. You have to know that there are so many people not able to do this. And this is a blessing that you have this opportunity to be able to be your true self, and when you're in a job, you look at it also as acting. You turn on the character. So there's different, they have to know the balance. It's no different than working with an actor. You know what I mean? They have to step into character. They have to ignore, when they go into a casting and everybody has a stone face and everybody's not their friend. They have to go in, so it's so many different things, because they're dealing with different emotions, different attitudes, different cultures, depending on what country we're in or city. So it's so many of those things that we have to kind of break down to them, because these are things that they're not learning, like I said before, like in high school or in middle school. So it's really about standing their truth, knowing that this is a job, and to be able to shake it off, balance, ground, and when you go home, take a bath, relax, and let it go, and not hold on to it.
Right. I mean, that's a lot that you are teaching these young people, and it's important.
It's very important.
I mean, that's got to be probably the most important thing you do as a scout. Not just finding the talent,
yes,
but mentoring and like giving them that guidance to help them reframe.
Yes.
Reframe the rejection, reframe the noise, reframe it back to the silence, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So even the brightest fires need fueling. And you've talked about fueling people, finding their space and finding their inspired. But let's talk about you.
Okay.
Like what fans your flame? What is the fuel that keeps you going and keeps that bright star burning for everybody else to heal from? What are some of you talked a little bit about your rituals, but what are some of those really grounded rituals that you have?
I definitely believe in salt baths.
Mm-hmm.
It's become a thing for me. So I create different salt baths with different fragrances in it, which could be frankincense, it could be lavender, rose, anything that's going to be nourishing and healing to my spirit. I take salt baths a lot. I took one last night just to be prepared for today. I love baking and cooking. That's actually very therapeutic for me, and obviously making my self-care products. So all of those things that I'm doing, which is more, it's still healing, but it's self-care healing. But the baking, I like baking for other people too, and cooking. So it's definitely something about it that just warms my heart to be able to do that.
Well, that's part of healing too, is
Yeah,
giving to others,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
What about, you have a favorite quote or mantra that you say to yourself when you need that extra pickup?
In elementary school, I had this teacher. She happened to be my teacher in the 4th and 6th grade. And she was very pivotal in my elementary school life. She was tough, super tough. But she used to make us say, we always used to say the same thing every day. So I said this every day in the 4th and 6th grade. If a task has once begun, never leave until it's done. Whether it's little, great, or small, do it well or not at all.
Oh, wow, you got that memorized well.
She put it in our heads. She drilled that in our heads, but that's literally something that I still stand by.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. All right, so when you feel totally depleted, what brings you back to center?
The Spirit of God and meditation and conversing and having that time, that quiet time, grounding myself, listening to be able to hear. That's what brings me back, amongst smudging and salt baths and all of that sometimes, and quiet time for sure.
That's beautiful. Do you have a special place for your meditation rituals?
A lot of times, no. A lot of times it's a chair that's in my bedroom, or sometimes I have a really nice sunroom I like to go to as well. But yeah, those are mainly the two places I go.
What do you think is your leadership superpower from this?
Understanding.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Understanding is very good. And when you feel, who is someone that you go to get help when you need to refill your cup and understanding? I
have a couple of friends that are also very gifted on the shaman type scale. So those are people I always talk to my mom too. Moms are always good for some advice and inspiration as well.
They are. We don't listen to them sometimes.
Sometimes
when we're older, we all of a sudden listen to them, right?
We did. Exactly.
I do find that so funny. It's like you're the second person that, no matter what, they came back to their mom, to where it's now the most important person they talk to every day is their mom, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bestie. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So this is one of the most important sessions of Spark Sessions, and it's called Passing the Torch.
Okay.
So, and with you, I really want to talk about legacy and what you're hoping and building for the next generation. Because you have lots of young people that you talk to every day. Because usually what we'll ask is, a younger version of yourself or a young woman coming up.
Right.
But I feel like you do that a lot with your healing and with your modeling. So tell me, I guess, passing the torch, what's the rungs that you're building below for the next generation? And what is some advice that you want to give them that's the most important, that will be part of your legacy that they all hear?
It's interesting because I have two nieces. I have a niece that's 24. I have baby niece that's 2, her daughter.
Aww.
So I'm an auntie, and I would love to pass the torches to them, and for them to see that you can be a strong, dynamic woman of color and do whatever you put your mind to. Absolutely. And that's for all women, actually, because as we all know, we have gone through a lot as women
Yes.
throughout history.
Yes.
And we're still going through a lot in so many different places. And I want people to know that you have to fight your way through.
Yeah.
And, you know, we deal with hormones, we deal with all kinds of stuff, but we still got to fight through in the midst of it all. And it's time and space for us.
Yes.
And they can do whatever they want, and they can do it. And they don't need anybody to give them the permission to make the moves they need to make for what's best for them.
No asking for permission. I like that.
And not at all.
And we didn't really touch a lot on you being a woman of color and an entrepreneur. But
Yes.
that is a powerful, it is such an unrepresented minority. I mean, in the business world.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you know, I believe it's like 2% that make it to even being a CEO. And there's so many challenges that you have to come, anything from funding to just getting your foot in the door.
Absolutely.
And especially I can imagine in the talent industry dealing with like, you know, French fashion houses and
Yes.
things like that. So, you know, what is some of that, and I want to touch on that, some of the advice that you would give someone else going through, and kind of said a little bit of it, but I really want to hone in on that. Like, how did you overcome that?
I just pretty much have always had an activist type spirit.
Uh-huh.
Even if it's not totally outwardly, it's inner activism. So I've always felt like there is a place for me, period.
Yeah.
Mic drop. There is a place for me. There are doors that will open for me. And I've just had that spirit. I think my grandfather pretty much instilled that in me, you know, without him even knowing it when he was alive. I watched how he was a strong man and nothing held him back. And I think I just pretty much inherited that energy, which went to my mother and my aunts and uncle, you know, from that side of the family. It was like a lot of strong people that never let no stop them.
Yeah. And so how are you building your way for other women like you to not let them have a no and to get forward?
Well, it's funny because all of the people that I mentor to are very strong women.
Yeah.
So they're already beating their own path and making their own way. So it's pretty much like anything that I can instill in them to show them. I mean, some of my old assistants are like just straight hardcore bosses, you know, like they're in the talent industry, they're booking talent on TV and film. And these are people that I either mentored before or either people that were my actual assistant. They're killing it. So I'm already hopefully giving some type of perfect, good example for them and their, you know, their life and what's good for them.
And what about with your healing work? What do you hope, what transformation do you feel that your healing work will lead to the next generation?
Well, it's all about unconditional love. Number one, that's what the whole purpose of the healing journey is to start trying to walk in that unconditional love. And I just want more people to know who they are and to love themselves, because if you don't love yourself, you can't love everybody else. And we need that. Yes. As a world, we need more love, because what we're sending out right now is a lot of negativity, a lot of anger, a lot of hate, a lot of rage, you know. So once we can clear some of these things up, get some of these shadow wounds out of the way, I feel like that would be my sole purpose, is to just try to heal as many people in their hearts as possible so they can see their true self and love themselves.
And I think that self-love is most important. That's finding
Absolutely.
that joy. You know, like I said, it holds you back, having
Yes.
all that negativity. It's like, yes,
Yes.
people have to go through a lot of tribulations sometimes.
Absolutely.
But do we learn from it? You
Right.
know?
Yes.
And how does that help us grow? No, I think
sure.
that's beautiful. And what are you most excited about building next with KStarr and with the Nova Center?
I want to start, well, first thing happened, I started selling products in a store. So I had my products in a brick and mortar, but also start doing larger events.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah.
I'd love that. You'll have to invite us.
For sure. Absolutely.
Okay, this is another fun segment. It's called the fire round. Okay.
All right.
So super easy questions. First thing that comes to your mind. All right.
All righty. I'm ready.
Okay. Boldest decision you ever made?
To work for free.
Dream collaboration.
I ain't a gardener.
Coffee, tea, or cocktails?
All of the above, depending on the season and what's going on.
Oh, this one's a good one for you. A self-care product you swear by.
Oh, my Nova butter.
And a place where you feel most you.
At the beach.
Lovely. So we end every episode with one final question. And that is really about, what is your spark? What centers you? What is, the one belief that is really Keela Starr? So, Keela, what is your spark? What is the one sentence or truth that fuels everything you do?
Well, it's one sentence, but it came from my grandmother. And she used to tell me when I was a little girl, always let God's light shine through you. And I haven't forgotten it. So I would say that would be my sentence.
I think that is a beautiful sentence, because that was actually, as I was going to thank you so much for being here. I mean, your brilliance and your light shines so brightly.
Thank you.
And it has just been so wonderful to get to know you and hear your passion, your joy, and your true love. I mean, you are a healer, and your energy is just, it radiates to every room.
You.
And I thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom and your brilliance. And I know that you will inspire so many others that listen.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to Spark Sessions. Until next time, keep the fire burning.